This is Don from the Art of Screenwriting, and I want to talk to you today about 4 essential components of any scene. In a lot of screenplays that I read, I find scenes that do just one thing, and that's advance the plot. And whilst that's a key aim in any scene, it's not efficient. Screenplays are short documents. You have to be efficient and you have to maximize every word and every page. So there are 4 elements we're going to look at. The first is advancing the plot. The second is developing characters. The third is conflict. And the fourth is an emotional arc within the scene. We'll take those one at a time. So clearly you need to be advancing the plot as you move through the story. And hopefully your scenes are doing that. There's an easy way, however, to test that that is actually happening. And it's something I learned from editors when they're editing a film. And that is, imagine taking the scene out of the story. What difference does it make? If when you take the scene out, it doesn't change the story or barely changes it, there's a good argument that that scene is unnecessary. If, however, the scene is essential and you take it out and the story makes no sense, clearly you're advancing the plot in that scene. The second element is developing characters. If you've seen my Developing Great Characters video, you'll know that I focus on a number of key traits for characters. Those are very, very helpful in ensuring that each scene helps develop characters. What you do is, when you are outlining the scene, you look at the characters who are going to be in that, you look at their traits, and you make sure that you are showing those traits in an interesting way that helps us learn more about that character. The third element is conflict. Stories are driven by conflict. Screenplays are driven by conflict. If you have a number of scenes that are lacking conflict, it will mean that your story feels flat overall. So what do I mean by conflict? Conflict doesn't have to mean fights, it doesn't have to mean arguments, car crashes, people getting killed. Conflict is simply 2 people within the scene with different agendas. If you ensure that within every scene there are different agendas going on from different characters, you're guaranteed to have conflict. And conflict will drive your story forward, will engage the audience, will make people wonder what's going to happen next, who's going to come out on top, where will the story go. The final element is an emotional arc within the scene. What that means is that your scene is not one note emotionally. So you need to look at what is the emotion at the start of the scene. Let's say that your protagonist is happy at the start of the scene. Everything's going well. If that never changes and at the end of the scene they're still happy, then you haven't taken advantage of the opportunity that that scene provides to move emotions. And story writing, screenplay writing, novel writing, doesn't matter what kind of fictional writing you're talking about, is actually about manipulating audience emotions. So what you're looking at then is, instead of your character going in happy, being happy all the way through and coming out happy, maybe they're challenged during the scene and they're not happy. Maybe they'll end up not happy at the end of that scene. Maybe they'll bounce back up and be happy again. It's not just obviously about happiness and sadness. I've used that as one example. Another example might be hope and fear. Your protagonist hopes for something at the start of the scene, they think it's going to work, they encounter a setback, fear, they may have a problem here. They come up with a solution, now we're back up with hope, but there's something they've overlooked that means that won't work. They're back into fear. So those are the sorts of things I'm talking about, emotional arcs. You need at least one emotional change in a scene to make it satisfying for the reader, for the audience, i.e. happy to sad, hope to fear. Ideally you'll have 2, 3, 4 or even more changes of emotion through the scene, and that way the audience is going to be engaged, wondering what's going to happen next. So that's it, the 4 key elements for any scene. Advance the plot, develop the characters, have some conflict, and have an emotional arc within the scene. It's not always possible to get all 4 of those into a scene. Sometimes the nature of the story and where you're going with that scene means that one of those may be missed. But I reckon if you get 3 out of 4 in every scene, you're going to be writing scenes that are engaging the reader, engaging the audience, moving the story forward. Thanks for watching. This is Don from The Art of Screenwriting, and I'll see you next time.